Steve Austin, astronaut. A man barely alive. Gentlemen, we can rebuild.
He was the $6 million man. Unstoppable, admired, living like Hollywood royalty. She was TV's golden girl, with a smile so bright it could light up an entire studio. Together, Lee Majors and Farrah Fawcett looked untouchable, like the ultimate power couple straight off a movie poster. But behind those perfect smiles and glossy magazine covers, their reality was far from picture perfect. It was a storm waiting to break. Their love story twisted into heartbreak, betrayal, and years of silence that would never fully heal. Lee Majors never forgave her, and once you hear the truth, you'll understand exactly why. Long before they became Hollywood icons, Lee and Farrah were just two ambitious dreamers, chasing fame in a world that could lift you up one day and crush you the next. Lee's rise started early. Born Harvey Lee Yeary in Michigan and raised in Kentucky, he had that classic all-American look. Sharp jawline, piercing eyes, and a quiet confidence that drew people in. Casting directors couldn't get enough of him. His first big break came with The Big Valley, where he starred alongside the legendary Barbara Stanwyck. It didn't take long before people in the industry started whispering, Lee Majors was the next big thing. Meanwhile, Farrah was blazing her own path. A southern beauty queen from Texas, she had that magnetic spark that cameras adored. She packed up, moved to Los Angeles, and instantly turned heads. Photographers, agents, producers, everyone wanted to work with her. That sun-kissed hair, glowing skin, and her natural mix of sweetness and confidence made her unforgettable, even before fame came knocking. Then fate stepped in. In the late 1960s, they met at a Hollywood party, introduced by mutual friends, and sparks flew instantly. According to people who were there, their chemistry was electric. Lee was already a household name, calm and grounded, while Farrah was full of life, laughter, and ambition. He brought her stability, and she brought him energy. They balanced each other out perfectly. By 1973, they tied the knot, and for a while, it looked like the perfect Hollywood fairy tale. Lee had just landed the role that would define his career, Colonel Steve Austin in The $6 Million Man. The show exploded in popularity, turning him into a global sensation. His face was everywhere, on posters, action figures, even lunchboxes. He wasn't just a TV star, he was an icon. Meanwhile, Farrah's own star was quickly rising. Her modeling career took off with high-profile shampoo commercials, magazine covers, and fashion shoots that made her a national favorite. Soon, acting offers started rolling in. Her big break was just around the corner, and Lee was all smiles, cheering her on in interviews at the time. He couldn't stop praising her beauty, her charm, her talent, calling her the absolute love of his life. To the world, they were golden, Hollywood's shining couple, dazzling on red carpets, lighting up celebrity parties, smiling from glossy magazine covers like a dream come true. But behind all that sparkle, cracks were forming beneath the surface, quiet but deep. Their schedules almost never lined up. Lee was drowning in endless hours on the $6 Million Man set, while Farrah was out hustling, auditioning, networking, chasing every chance to make her own name shine. The very fame they fought for was the same thing slowly pulling them apart. Still, Lee clung to hope. He believed in their love, in the vows they made, in her. But fame changes people, not always into someone worse, just into someone different. Sometimes so different, they barely resemble the person you fell in love with. And as Farrah's star started climbing higher than anyone could have imagined, their perfect marriage was about to crack under pressure no outsider could ever understand. Farrah didn't just become famous. She exploded into a level of stardom few ever reach. When she joined Charlie's Angels in 1976, everything shifted overnight. The show was an instant cultural phenomenon, but Farrah became something even bigger, a full-on symbol of beauty, freedom, and 1970s glamour. That now legendary poster of her in the red one-piece swimsuit, hair windblown, flashing that effortless smile. It wasn't just a photo, it was history. Over 12 million copies sold, making it one of the most iconic images of the entire century. Soon, she was everywhere. Talk shows, billboards, magazine covers, commercials. You couldn't escape her face. Farrah wasn't just popular, she was a global obsession. But while the world adored her, that same fame was tearing at the threads of her marriage. Suddenly, her time belonged to everyone except her husband. Lee, who was used to being the main attraction himself, was now waiting on the sidelines, watching his wife's fame burn brighter than his own. Producers begged for her time, brands fought for her attention, stylists and agents filled every free hour in her day. The woman he once knew, sweet, grounded, that Texas girl with laughter in her eyes, was changing before his very eyes. Not cruel, not heartless, just distant, swallowed up by the non-stop machine of celebrity. According to several people close to them, Lee even reached out to her show's producers, asking if they could tweak her filming schedule, just so they could have dinner together a few nights a week. Imagine that. One of TV's biggest stars, begging for a couple of quiet dinners with the woman he loved. But Hollywood doesn't slow down for anyone, not even for love. It sounded like such a simple thing, a husband just wanting more time with his wife. But when Lee asked, Farrah reportedly said no. She didn't want to look like the woman who needed her husband's approval. She was determined to stand on her own 2 feet, no matter what. That fierce independence, while inspiring to many, quietly built an invisible wall between them, one that only grew taller with time. Lee later revealed in an interview that during the peak of Farrah's fame, he sometimes saw her only 2 days a week. And even then, those moments weren't the same. Not long dinners or cozy nights, just brief check-ins between her photo shoots and press events. Their once deep bond had been reduced to calendar slots and missed calls. He could feel her slipping away, and no amount of love, patience, or pleading could stop it. What truly hurt Lee wasn't the fame itself. It was what the fame meant. Farrah's rise wasn't just about public adoration. It was about transformation. The woman who once leaned on him for comfort was now running her own empire, and somewhere along the way, they stopped speaking the same emotional language. Lee came from old-school values, the kind where marriage meant loyalty, privacy, and forever. But Farrah was reinventing herself in real time, in front of cameras and millions of fans. She wasn't trying to break his heart. She was chasing a dream that didn't leave much room for slowing down. Success can be blinding, and sometimes it leaves behind collateral damage, and their marriage became one of the first casualties of her rise. Then, just when things seemed like they couldn't possibly get worse, something happened that shattered what was left. And this time, it unfolded under the bright, merciless glare of the public eye. By the late 1970s, their emotional distance was impossible to hide. The love that had once burned so brightly between Lee Majors and Farrah Fawcett had dimmed beneath endless work schedules, missed moments, and months apart. On paper, they were still married, but in reality, they were living completely separate lives. 2 superstars spinning in different orbits, barely crossing paths. Farrah was fully consumed by her skyrocketing career, shooting episodes, making appearances, signing deals, and posing for endless magazine spreads. Lee, meanwhile, was still carrying his own weight on the $6 million man, juggling fame while watching his personal life quietly crumble. He tried, over and over, to fix things. Friends say he reached out, scheduled time, even asked mutual friends to help bring them closer again. But deep down, Farrah was already moving on, maybe without even realizing it. And then came the moment that broke everything. Another man entered the picture. And not just any man, Ryan O'Neal. This wasn't some stranger from a movie set. Ryan was someone Lee actually knew, a peer, a fellow actor, and once, a trusted friend. They had crossed paths countless times in Hollywood, sharing laughs, stories, and respect. So when Lee opened a magazine and saw those tabloid photos, Farrah and Ryan, hand in hand, smiling at events, looking happy, it hit like a punch to the gut. The betrayal wasn't just personal, it was public. Farrah and Ryan's relationship exploded across headlines, and it was anything but subtle. She was still legally married to Lee when those photos surfaced, and the entire world knew it. Suddenly, everyone was talking. Tabloids, TV shows, gossip columns. Her affair with Ryan O'Neal became the talk of Hollywood. For Lee Majors, the man who once called her the love of his life, the humiliation was brutal. Their private heartbreak had become a public spectacle, and there was no escaping it. Magazine covers, late-night talk show jokes, endless speculation. The world couldn't get enough of the drama. To the outside world, it was the juiciest Hollywood scandal of the decade. But for Lee Majors, it wasn't gossip. It was heartbreak at its rawest. Friends close to him said he was blindsided. No phone call, no warning, just headlines, glossy photos, and cruel punchlines. He found out the truth the same way everyone else did, staring at tabloids, showing the woman he loved in the arms of another man. And not just any man, but someone he had trusted, welcomed into his life. That, more than anything, made it unforgivable. Imagine seeing your private heartbreak turned into front-page entertainment. The betrayal was beyond personal. It was public humiliation. Some insiders even whispered that Farrah's connection with Ryan might have started before her marriage to Lee was officially over, though no one ever confirmed the exact timing. What was certain was how deeply it wounded him. Lee wasn't just heartbroken as a husband, he felt stripped of trust as a man who had built a life with someone rewriting their story alongside another. Farrah never denied her new relationship. In fact, she and Ryan quickly became Hollywood's newest obsession. They were photographed everywhere. Red carpets, premieres, beaches, smiling, laughing, acting like the cameras didn't exist. The media crowned them the new golden couple. But behind the flashes and glitz, there was a quiet unease. Everyone knew something sacred had been shattered in the process. Lee, though, never exploded publicly. He didn't call anyone out. He didn't drag names into the spotlight. Instead, he did the opposite. He went quiet. His silence said more than any headline ever could. He stopped showing up to events, avoided interviews that even mentioned her name, and eventually stopped speaking about Farrah completely. To the world, it looked like he had moved on, but those who really knew him could see the truth. He hadn't just lost a wife. He had lost his faith in love, in trust, and in the meaning of everything they once shared. And with Ryan O'Neal's name forever tied to the end of his marriage, forgiveness simply wasn't possible anymore. That chapter of his life was closed, painfully, permanently. But instead of confronting the chaos or cashing in on the drama like so many others would have, Lee Majors did something no one expected. He vanished from her world entirely. While others in Hollywood used heartbreak for headlines, Lee took the opposite path. After the dust settled and the gossip faded, he stayed silent. No interviews, no tell-all memoirs, no cryptic quotes, just silence. In a city built on publicity, he chose peace over spectacle. By the time their divorce was finalized in 1982, nearly 9 years after they said "I do," Lee had already checked out emotionally. He poured everything into his work, diving into new television and film projects that kept him occupied, but never quite reignited the spark of the $6 Million Man years. Still, he remained a familiar face, later starring in The Fall Guy, which ran for several seasons and kept his star shining, at least professionally. But behind the scenes, friends said the damage lingered. Lee was never truly the same. The smile was there for the cameras, but the warmth had faded. The man who once loved with his whole heart had learned the hardest lesson: that in Hollywood, even love has an expiration date. Farrah, meanwhile, did what she always did best. She leaned into the spotlight. Her relationship with Ryan O'Neal became just as public and unpredictable as her rise to fame. They broke up, got back together, argued, laughed, made up, and every messy emotional moment played out across tabloids and television screens. Their love story was wild, chaotic, and impossible to look away from. But for Lee Majors, that chapter had ended long before the cameras stopped rolling. It was like Farrah's entire emotional world had been put on display for everyone to see. Every heartbreak, every reunion, every rumor. Her life had become public property, and the contrast between her openness and Lee's silence couldn't have been sharper. While she lived out her emotions under the glare of the spotlight, he had vanished from her story completely, like a ghost in his own past. Whenever Charlie's Angels reunions happened, Lee was nowhere to be seen. When Farrah made public appearances, he was never around, not even in passing. But it wasn't out of bitterness or revenge. It felt more like a man protecting what little peace he had left, shielding himself from reopening wounds that had barely healed. In the rare moments when interviewers dared to bring up Farrah's name, Lee kept it polite. Short answers, no drama, then moving on quickly. He once quietly admitted that he couldn't even watch Charlie's Angels when it aired. The reason? It was just too painful, he said. Watching her larger than life on screen, knowing what they'd lost. It was more than he could handle. And maybe the most powerful thing about Lee Majors wasn't what he said, it was what he didn't say. He never tried to rewrite history. He never blamed Farrah. He never trashed Ryan O'Neal. He never played the victim. Instead, he simply erased himself from the narrative. Like disappearing was the only control he had left. Friends close to him said that privately, the wound never truly healed. Yes, he dated other women, but none could ever take the space Farrah had once filled. For nearly 2 decades, she lingered like a shadow in his heart, always there, even when unspoken. He never remarried, throwing himself into his work and keeping his personal life locked behind closed doors. Those who knew him described him as kind but distant. Still that same charming man, but now with a quiet caution that hadn't been there before. Farrah, on the other hand, stayed Farrah, beloved, bold, unpredictable, and forever in the headlines. Her career went through highs and lows. Her relationship with Ryan O'Neal continued to make news for its chaos and passion, and she wore her emotions for the whole world to see. The contrast between her and Lee was impossible to miss. She shared everything, no matter how messy, while he had sealed his life away, never looking back. Then, just when it seemed their stories had split for good, something surprising happened years later, something private, quiet, and far away from the cameras. A moment that could have rewritten everything between them. It was the early 2000s, and both had mellowed with time. Farrah had stepped out of the non-stop glare of fame, focusing on her artwork, charity causes, and smaller acting projects that gave her peace instead of pressure. Her turbulent relationship with Ryan had cooled, and for once, her life seemed calm. Lee, too, had changed. He was no longer the intense, brooding action star of the 70s, but a seasoned, respected actor with decades of experience and wisdom behind him. He'd found his rhythm, quieter, steadier, content with staying out of the spotlight. And then came the whisper, a chance for a private reunion, off the record, away from the public eye. No cameras, no questions, no scripts, just two people who had shared love, fame, and heartbreak, meeting again after decades apart. It started quietly. A mutual friend, someone who had known them both for decades, decided to reach out. The idea was simple, almost gentle. No cameras, no press, no spectacle, just a private meeting, a chance for two people who had once shared everything to finally talk, maybe even laugh again. After so many years of silence, it was a chance to clear the air and let the past breathe for once. At first, it seemed possible. Sources close to both of them said Farrah was open to it. Time had softened her. The fire that once burned so brightly between them had cooled into something warmer, more reflective. She remembered the love, not the pain. As for Lee, he didn't shut the door right away. He listened, he thought. He even admitted to a friend that a part of him still missed the person she used to be. But after sitting with it for a while, Lee made his choice. He said no. He wasn't angry. He wasn't holding a grudge. He just didn't want to reopen something he had worked so hard to close. Too much had happened, and too many words had been left unsaid. Some wounds, he believed, don't bleed anymore. They just stay beneath the surface, untouched but permanent. His silence all those years hadn't just been pride. It was protection. Seeing her again, even for a few minutes, could have undone years of healing. Then life, as it often does, made the decision for them. Not long after that missed opportunity, Farrah Fawcett was diagnosed with cancer. The news spread fast, and her health declined even faster. Any hope for a reunion vanished overnight. Lee never reached out publicly. He didn't visit. He didn't call. To outsiders, it looked cold. But to those who understood, it was heartbreak in its quietest form. Sometimes the deepest love says nothing at all. The truth was, Lee Majors had already said goodbye long before the diagnosis. He had mourned their story privately, years earlier, when he realized that no reunion could ever bring back what they once were. But even if he had let her go, that door inside him had never fully closed. And when the world learned about her illness, it hit him harder than anyone knew. In 2006, the world was stunned. Farrah Fawcett had been diagnosed with a rare and aggressive cancer. Instead of hiding, she faced it head-on, with bravery and honesty that shook everyone who watched. She chose to document her battle in a raw, unfiltered video diary. No Hollywood filters, no glamour, just the truth. That footage later became a documentary that showed her pain, her fight, and her incredible strength. Millions tuned in. They cried. They admired her courage. Farrah wasn't playing a role anymore. She was showing her most human self, stripped of fame and facade. It was her final act of public vulnerability, and it left the world in awe. But through it all, one person stayed completely silent: Lee Majors. While tributes poured in, while interviews revisited her legacy, while friends and co-stars spoke her name with emotion, Lee said nothing. No comment, no statement, no appearance. He didn't attend her events, her fundraisers, or any of the public memorials that followed. And yet, His silence wasn't coldness, it was love's last echo. According to friends, Lee knew about her illness from the very beginning. It shook him deeply. He followed her health updates quietly, always asking mutual friends for news but refusing to make it public. He grieved from a distance, the way he'd learned to do everything when it came to Farrah. Re-entering that space, even just to offer comfort, was something Lee simply couldn't bring himself to do. Maybe it was fear, maybe guilt, maybe pure self-preservation. No one really knows. But one thing's for sure, he stayed away. When Farrah Fawcett passed in June of 2009, the world stopped to mourn a legend. And Lee Majors, he released just one carefully worded statement. She fought a tremendous battle against a terrible disease. She was an angel on earth, and now she is an angel forever. It was short, respectful, and filled with dignity, but missing that spark of emotion that had once defined their love story. He didn't attend her funeral. Some say he couldn't face it. Others believed he had already mourned her long before she ever left this world. The truth? It probably sat somewhere in between. What was clear, though, was that Lee Majors, the man who had once done anything for Farrah, chose to remember her from a distance. But even in that quiet distance, his silence screamed louder than any interview ever could. Many close to him believed he carried that quiet regret for the rest of his life. Time has a strange way of softening memories and polishing heartbreak until it looks like nostalgia. Today, when people remember Lee Majors and Farrah Fawcett, they often think of the dazzling couple they once were, a golden duo from Hollywood's brightest era. Their photos still circle online, bathed in vintage filters, red carpet smiles, sunlit laughter, perfect chemistry, frozen in time. It's easy to believe they lived a fairy tale, but those who truly know their story know how complicated it really was. Lee eventually moved forward with his life. In 2002, he married again, this time to someone far removed from Hollywood's chaos. It was quieter, steadier, and by all accounts, a relationship that finally brought him peace. Yet even in that peace, the shadow of Farrah never truly disappeared. She had been his first great love and his greatest heartbreak. Farrah, for her part, left behind more than just beauty and fame. She left a legacy of strength. Despite the noise and drama that surrounded her, she fought to be respected as an actress, earning critical praise for dramatic roles later in her career. And when cancer came for her, she faced it with unimaginable courage, choosing honesty over vanity, truth over comfort. Her final years turned her into a symbol, not of glamour, but of raw, fearless humanity. But the story between Lee and Farrah, that part never got its ending. There was no final call, no emotional reunion, no whispered forgiveness or quiet closure, just silence. A silence that still lingers, leaving fans to wonder, did Lee ever forgive her? Did she ever wish he would? Maybe the answer isn't in what was said, but in what wasn't. In the years that followed her passing, Lee Majors never attacked her legacy. He never tried to reshape their story or seek sympathy. He kept everything, the pain, the love, the memories, locked away where no camera could reach. Because maybe deep down, the woman Lee Majors never forgave was also the woman he never stopped loving. So while Hollywood's lights have faded and the tabloids have long moved on, their story still echoes. A bittersweet reminder that even in the glittering world of fame, love can burn bright, break hard, and linger forever. If you were moved by this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more untold Hollywood stories that reveal the truth behind the spotlight. See you in the next video.